The rain started just as Aisha stepped out of the small bus, clutching her worn leather folder tightly against her chest. Inside it were her degree, a few certificates, and the fragile hope of her entire family. Living in a modest home on the outskirts of the city, she had always been the simple girl everyone underestimated, plain cotton shalwar kameez, no makeup except a hint of kajal, and dreams much bigger than her circumstances. Today was important. She had finally secured an interview at one of the biggest corporate firms in the city. If she got this job, it would change everything for her widowed mother and younger brother. The office building stood tall and intimidating across the road, its glass walls reflecting the gray sky. Aisha checked the time, 9:10 a.m. Her interview was at 9:30. She inhaled deeply, whispering a small prayer under her breath, and began walking quickly along the crowded pavement. Cars rushed past, splashing rainwater onto the edges of the sidewalk. People hurried with umbrellas, too busy to notice anyone else. That's when she saw him. A well-dressed man in a charcoal suit had stumbled near the curb. At first, she thought he had slipped, but then she noticed his hand gripping his chest, his face pale, breathing uneven. Within seconds, he collapsed to his knees on the wet road. People slowed down for a moment, glanced, and kept moving. Some assumed he was drunk. Others didn't want trouble. Aisha froze. Her eyes shifted from the towering office building across the street to the man struggling to breathe. Her heart pounded. Ya Allah, she whispered. If she stopped, she would be late. If she walked away, she would never forgive herself. Without thinking further, she ran toward him. Kneeling beside him on the rain-soaked street, she gently touched his shoulder. Sir, can you hear me? His eyes fluttered open briefly, filled with pain and confusion. He tried to speak but couldn't. Aisha quickly took out her phone and dialed emergency services, her voice trembling but firm as she explained the situation. She placed her dupatta under his head to keep it from the cold ground and held his hand to reassure him. It's okay. Help is coming. Stay with me, she said softly. Minutes felt like hours. Her clothes were drenched, her folder lying forgotten on the pavement. When the ambulance finally arrived, the paramedics lifted him onto a stretcher. One of them asked, "Are you family?" She hesitated, then said, "No, but I found him." They urged her to come along to provide details. She glanced once more at the office building across the street. It was 9:35 a.m. The doors closed behind her as the ambulance drove away, carrying not just a stranger, but unknowingly, her destiny. At the hospital, doctors rushed him into the emergency room. Aisha sat outside, shivering from the cold and nerves. She could have left, but something in her heart wouldn't allow it. After nearly an hour, a senior doctor approached her. You brought him in just in time. It was a severe anxiety-induced cardiac episode. A few more minutes, and it could have been fatal. Relief flooded her eyes. Is he okay now? She asked. He will recover, the doctor assured. Just then, several men in expensive suits stormed into the hallway, their faces tense. Where is Mr. Rahman? One demanded. The doctor pointed toward the recovery room. Aisha quietly stood up, assuming her role was over. As she turned to leave, one of the men stopped her. Excuse me. Who are you? She explained briefly. Their expressions shifted from suspicion to surprise. You saved him, another whispered. She shook her head. Anyone would have done the same. But they knew that wasn't true. Meanwhile, across town, the HR manager at the corporate firm glanced at the clock and marked her as absent. Interview missed. Opportunity gone. Hours later, as Aisha waited for a bus home, her phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. Miss Aisha, a calm, deep voice spoke. Yes. This is Zain Rahman. She paused, confused. The man you helped this morning. Her heart skipped. Oh. Sir. I'm glad you're okay. He chuckled softly. Okay. You saved my life. Do you know who I am? She hesitated. No, sir. I'm the CEO of Rahman Global Industries. The name hit her like thunder. Rahman Global, the same company where she had her interview. Silence filled the line. You had an interview with us this morning, didn't you? He asked gently. Tears welled in her eyes, but she forced a smile he couldn't see. Yes, sir. But it's all right. Some things aren't meant to be. His tone shifted, filled with admiration. On the contrary, Miss Aisha. I believe some things are very much meant to be. I saw your file in HR. You were one of the top candidates. And today, you showed something no certificate can prove, character. She couldn't speak. I would like you to come tomorrow, he continued, not for an interview, but to discuss your appointment. Her breath caught. Sir. A company needs skilled employees. But it survives because of people with heart. You chose a stranger over your own opportunity. That's the kind of integrity I want in my organization. Tears streamed down her face, mixing with rain. The next day, she walked into the same towering building, not as a candidate begging for a chance, but as a woman whose compassion had opened doors qualifications alone never could. Employees whispered as she passed. In the top-floor office, Zain Rahman stood by the window, no longer the collapsing stranger, but a composed and powerful CEO. Yet when he turned to her, his expression held gratitude and something deeper, respect. You remind me, he said quietly, that humanity still exists in this fast world. Over the following weeks, Aisha proved she was not only kind but intelligent, hardworking, and visionary. Her simplicity became her strength. And as meetings turned into conversations, and conversations into shared laughter, an unspoken bond began to grow. The day she missed her interview became the day that changed her life forever. Sometimes, the opportunities we lose are simply stepping stones toward greater blessings. And sometimes, the stranger you help in the rain turns out to be the answer to prayers you whispered in silence. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that kindness never goes unnoticed, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more powerful and inspiring stories that prove one simple act can change your destiny forever.